We want more agents to eat lunch. We do.
Yes,
we do. I'm kind of joking about it in a way, but like I said before, when I started, I didn't eat lunch because I wanted to feel what my kids would feel if I didn't get to work. Honestly, that was what I believed when I started. Right.
Hello and welcome to episode 30 of the Life Insurance Academy podcast. I'm your host, Austin Lopes-Silvero, and I'm here with Chris Ball, Zach McElwain, and Roger Short. The LIA podcast takes you into the conversations of top producing life insurance agents so that you can level up your business. For episode notes and resources, visit liapodcast.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Life Insure Acad. Also, make sure you've subscribed to our text notifications for episode releases and agent resources. All you have to do is send the letters LIA to the number 82149. That's 82149 and a message with the letters LIA. Thanks for joining us this week. On today's episode, we are covering an agent-submitted question for our first of the month episode. Today's question comes from Mckinley. Mckinley says, I run pretty hard in the field and hardly ever stop for lunch. What are some of the other agents doing during the day to be more productive? I start my day at my first house around 10 a.m., and I don't leave the field until usually after 9. So if other agents could give input, that might be beneficial to those that are having trouble. Guys, what do you think she can do to be more productive? And what does this boil down to?
I think this is a great question, and I think there's a lot of questions that I have in relation to the question that she asked. You know, this idea of how do you cram more activity in the limited hours that we have? I mean, ultimately, we can't create more hours.
Right.
We can't. So this is, to me, it is a question of preparation and efficiency and kind of understanding the reality of how we work. I think that's helpful to look at that because I think we're going to find some spaces in there where we might be able to generate more income from how we work. I think that's going to help.
It's like being a pizza delivery driver, but you drive a diesel. Right?
What?
And think about it. You know,
diesel tractor trailer.
Yeah, you got to be efficient in what you do, and your activity has got to match your goals. You know, you have to be prepared for this. You know, can you imagine that a big old diesel 18-wheeler pulling up to your house, delivering your Domino's pizza?
I'm such a visual person. I can see it, and you made me want pizza. Like you did. That was like a magic trick. You made me see it and want to eat pizza. That was incredible.
Anything associated with meat, bread, cheese immediatally brings visions of pizza.
Speaking of efficiency and productivity, let's get back.
Yes. But that wouldn't make any sense. You're right. Like you'd have to figure out some processes.
Oh my God. Here comes the pizza truck backing up. Pizza's here, everybody. Yeah, it's not very efficient. You have to look at your day, look at your week, and it's really understanding what you do with your time.
So you're saying before we even talk about being productive, like you have to even determine what you're doing.
But what does productivity mean? What does it mean to be productive?
I would say productivity is getting things done.
Getting a result from
and by the way,
the time that you put in.
I knew that answer was going to come from him, by the way. I knew that was going to come from him. But that's exactly right. So you want to be productive in what you do. Productive also means to me efficiency. Because one thing we can't add more time to the day.
This really is a question about preparation and efficiency.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Before you do anything, you got to stop and sit down and say, what am I trying to accomplish? First, what am I trying to accomplish? And then how do I get the most out of it? And what's burning up my time now? What am I doing in those hours that I say are work hours now? And I think if you focus and look at that, it's going to give you a picture. It's going to paint a picture that you can start with. It's a canvas. Now you have somewhere to start.
I think this is a question that everybody asks themselves. And the great thing is she asked us, but everybody runs through their mind, what else can I do? And I think the answer to that varies for every single agent. Because some agents, there might not be much more you can do. And others, there may be a whole lot of adjustments that can be made. But the common thing with every single one of them, nobody believes there's any adjustments that can be made or any more errors that they fully are taken up in that time.
Yeah, everyone thinks they're there's not much else I can do. Everyone thinks they're there, but
yeah, so
really most people are.
This you have to take a big old pill of accountability.
Self-evaluation.
Self-evaluation. And you need
interrogation of your own reality.
Yes.
You really gotta look at oneself to see what oneself is actually doing, to see if there is room for improvement. And there always is.
You got to look in that reality mirror. There's such a thing as those reality mirrors.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right. I totally forgot about that.
And when you look in them, like you see yourself as other people actually see you, and not the way you've been looking at yourself all of your life in a mirror.
Yeah.
And everybody freaks out.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, what is that? Whoa, why do I look like that?
Some people call it the selfie.
Then they invented filters.
Oh.
Yeah, the filters.
I think there's a lot of filters in this industry.
I think a lot of us in life put filters because we try to see things from our own perspective. We're busy. This is what's going on. I couldn't have done any more. I am so busy. I worked all day. I've worked every day this week. I'm so busy this month. And yet most of us on the self-employed, right? If you're in life insurance sales and you're out there making it happen for you, you're running your own calendar, you're running your own clock. If you actually did interrogate your own reality and clocked in and out when you're actually doing revenue generating activity, either contacting clients, sitting with clients or following up on client materials for submission, you'd probably be shocked.
I think so.
At how sparse the week actually looked.
I think you really got to weigh your time versus the results that you're getting. That is a big thing because, if you're working from, 10 to 9, that's an 11-hour day. But if you're writing $4,000 or $5,000 in annualized premium every day you do that, well, hey, it's a little bit different than, maybe not getting anything or any applications. And in fact, maybe not even getting a whole lot of sits with families. So you have to be able to evaluate during this time, during these hours that I'm putting into my work day, what am I spending most of my time on? Is it stuff that can be done outside of the 10 to 9 o'clock window? And by the way, most people do the 10 to 9 or 10 to 8 or 10 to 10 or a window, or some people even start a little earlier than that because that's generally the absolute best time to be able to sit with clients, get in front of clients. So my first piece of advice is let's make that time, as Roger is saying, revenue generating activities. That time is only for sitting with clients and presenting to families and trying to help put policies in place. Now, it's very, very easy to put everything else into that time. And Chris, what are some of those things that how can you fill up your day with other things?
There's all sorts of ways, man. And we kind of talked about this in lunch today of how much do certain activities cost us with an opportunity cost.
Everything.
Yes, it costs. Kind of does. I mean, if we do the math and average that a sit is generating about $700, we'll just throw out a number. I don't know what the real number is, but we'll say $700. And, that sit's going to take about an hour and a half. If I decide to sleep in for an hour and a half and that eats into that 10 o'clock to 7 o'clock time, then the snooze button cost me $700. It's weird when you put a price tag on something,
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to being efficient. So some of the things that we need to consider here that agents listening will be asking, well, I set appointments, some door knock, some are just working with networking. They're networking their way through the life insurance business, right? Yeah. But so you do have prep time, you do have drive time.
Yeah.
You have follow-up paperwork, you have, things that you have to follow up on, cases that, there's things that you just got to do to finish up. Sometimes you have to go back. Sometimes you have to go back the next day to sit with the other decision maker that you didn't know existed until you were almost at the end of the first one when they told you, no, I take care of all this myself. And then, a girlfriend shows up and she's actually a part of the decision.
Yeah.
And, it's then it's told to you, or a daughter shows up or a son. So there's all these components. When you factor in all of these pieces, there's so much time that you have set aside to work. So the way to really dial this down, and Zach, I liked what you said when you opened. You said it's going to be different for everyone, because for some, there may not be a lot more than you could do. And then for others, there's a lot more you can do. It's a matter of being efficient with those things and categorizing those things.
No, it's and it's preparation and efficiency.
Correct. Yeah. So some of it's like, hey, I got to do some training and some recon on how to make this work before I get in the house with the client. And then I'm trying to figure it out in front of them. I mean, that's an inefficient way to do it, because now you're scrambling, you're going to miss something, you're not executing properly. Like some prep work before you go is really going to help you. And if this is a recurring thing, like we talked about it in a training segment we did this morning here, that if you do that prep and training ahead of time, you start to become a product expert in that field. That being a product expert or a carrier expert and a product expert in a line of business that you're working in, whether it be MP, IULs, final expense, is going to give you confidence and competence to move through that sit quickly and efficiently without seeming rushed, flustered, and you're going to be highly efficient. So it takes some planning on the front. It takes some designation of hours within the time that you have available to work. Some of you may have children, and you have to accommodate a children's schedule. Some of you may be in situations where you're sharing custody with kids. So you have some days on, some days off, and you're trying to balance that schedule. Like, there's all of these considerations in your life. You do this business to support your life. You don't do life to support your business, right? It's so if you keep it in that order and you designate so many hours to your structured week, you have to designate within that structure, how much time am I going to be actually doing the RGA, the revenue generating activities, and then am I being true to that? Because if you stay true to that, your efficiencies will go up. And then you have allowed for the travel time. You have allowed for the personal schedule that you need to work around. And then you're being honest. You have a clear picture. You're actually scheduling your time and being true to your schedule. If one person in this group of us is very easy to break a schedule and run over, it's me, right? And you guys all know that. But this guy to my right here,
transparent of you.
This guy to my right here is the one that's like, it's starting. Right?
There's actually a reason why he's sitting next to you.
And there's a clock in front of us.
Yeah, and there's a reason why he poked his head in the office when you guys were 5 minutes past our scheduled time for this and said, and he points to his watch.
Oh, I didn't even have to say anything. I just looked in.
Yep.
Yeah,
nodded.
No, you said it. You just nonverbal.
So some people are really efficient, other people are not. So you have to ask yourself, where can I improve?
Well, the relationship with time is just like you said, Roger, is important. Identifying the time you can work as a whole. But then you have to identify within that time, what is your non-negotiables as far as being able to sit with clients? Most of the time, that's going to be your 10 to 9 or 10 to 8. You're not really going to get too many sits at 6:30 in the morning, 8 in the morning. It's a rare occasion is that ever going to happen. Or you're going to get in a brand new sit at 9:30, 10 at night. Unless it's pre-scheduled, it's really not going to happen. So prioritizing that time and you know that's the time that your revenue generating activity needs to be at its best. So a couple things you can do is know, hey, if I don't start till 10 every day, and I know I have to do these other tasks such as following up with carriers on business I've already written, maybe calling some of the carrier sales supports, maybe routing some leads for the week, or maybe calling the carriers to order some more supplies to make sure I have all that with me. Well, the best time to do that is probably between the time you wake up and 10 o'clock because the carriers, most of them open at 7 a.m. So you can call, and it's actually easier to call in the morning. If you wait till 10, that's when everybody wakes up and calls. So you're able to get all of those tasks done, everything organized, so your leads are ready to go, so you're not touching it as you're going throughout your day. You already have your new order of supplies coming in the mail, so you don't have to worry or stop in your midday to wait on hold for who knows how long in order just order some supplies. But to follow,
or having to go to Staples because you ran out, and now you're standing in line at Staples
Printing.
Because there's 18 people in there, and you're COVID spaced all 10 feet, and you're waiting for the photocopier.
That's actually costing you money.
At $700 for 90 minutes. Yeah,
opportunity and cash.
Yeah, I mean you're just burning it.
Yeah, and
Bring it in there and set it on fire.
Not to mention,
every 10 minutes.
most agents in this industry, they don't work 6-7 days a week. A lot of them don't work 5, if we're being honest. It's usually a good 3.5-4 days a week, which leaves it if you're comparing that to a corporate world job. Chris, do the quote fingers for me.
There you go,
corporate world. when you have that time assigned that you can get all of those things taken care of, now you have time for more door knocks, more sits, more conversations with carriers, as far as checking existing coverage to make sure they're correct, or helping clients to get new policies put in place, doing phone interviews. You're maximizing that work window with what you should be doing. There's no other distractions.
Zach looks at numbers all day long. He looks at agent production statements or activity statements, and those statements tend to tell a story. I know you have a lot of these conversations. What is the story that it's telling you?
Well, for one, it doesn't lie. So it's not always a negative story. Sometimes it tells you the great things you're doing, and it validates it to you, and it validates the numbers. That's the thing. But sometimes it doesn't, Chris. Sometimes it reveals the honest truth of what you're doing. So the great thing about an activity sheet, and that I highly recommend, and I believe we have one up on the website already, but when we have this activity sheet, it lets us know what we're spending our time on and areas to improve to get efficient. So when you say efficient, there's 2 different things that come in mind. One is to get better at the revenue generating activities, to improve, to have higher numbers, to be more successful. And the other thing is to be more efficient on moving activities that's taking your time up during the day to other times before or after your day. So when you're looking at this activity sheet, a couple things that might be revealing to you is, hey, I worked 10, 11, 12 hours today, but I only had 1 sit and 7 door knocks. So what that tells me is, and generally I'm assuming all your leads are in the same county or same area, so they're within probably 5 to 10 minutes apart from each other. So that tells me that there's something else in that day that is taking up the majority of your time. And that could be anything. It could be dealing with, family issues. It could be going to Staples and printing out applications. It could be waiting on hold with a carrier trying to do a follow-up, or even ordering materials. Or it could be, to be honest, sitting on the side of the road and waiting because somebody said they're going to be home at 5 and it's 3 o'clock, and you don't want to knock on a couple doors and get into a sit and potentially miss when they might be home. So you're pulling over the side of the road, scrolling through Facebook or swiping left or right, or on Snapchat doing funny videos and sending them to Chris. And it could be anything. But that sheet is going to be honest. It's going to tell you the true story of your day and how you're spending your time. Now, an activity sheet of, let's say, somebody that's very efficient is going to look a lot different. It's probably going to be, on a good 20 to 25 leads in that area, you're probably looking at anywhere from 15 to 25 door knocks a day. But you're also going to have anywhere from 3 to 5 sits with families that day, full sits that probably run anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours each. So you're able to see that activity. There's probably not a lot of Facebook scrolling time available in that typical day versus one that doesn't have those numbers.
It's the same if you're making appointments. If you're booking appointments and you're doing presets and showing up, if you've got 25 phone calls and you've had 2 appointments and that's all that's on your schedule for that day, other than some phone calls to the carriers, and your appointments are an hour and a half to 2 hours, you've got 5 hours in. You got 5 hours of work in, right? But I worked all day today. So, yeah, where did the extra time go? And what are you doing with that time? How are you running your appointments? Are you efficiently scheduling them? Are you scheduling with a 1 hour gap in between them in case you need extra time? Or are you like a doctor and you're scheduling them, every hour on the hour, every 30 minutes? And if someone no-shows, you've still got another appointment 30 minutes from now, right? And if you have to make someone wait, you make them wait. And so as opposed to you trying to find, so if you start conditioning yourself to have people fit your schedule, you can make it really efficient, and then honor that schedule with yourself. It matters how you view your week, what your worldview is. What is your family situation like? What are your family needs like? What are the time commitments you have for your family, your children? Do you have to be home for kids after school in the evenings? Do you only have 3 or 4 evenings a week that you can work? Then if that's the case, then you need to protect them. Like, protect those. You can't let them go easily because those are the only 3 that you have, because the other 4 nights of the week you have family commitments. Like, you have to be aware of all those things and know that other things are going to pop up that are unplanned, unexpected. They're called emergencies or situations that come up. And if you don't plan for the unexpected, then you're not preparing properly in that direction either. So having a clear picture of what your time obligations are, and then working a schedule into a structure that allows you to accomplish your goal, now you can determine whether you're productive or not. Because the reality is you might be getting 5 good hours in a day, 4 days a week. Well, that's 20 hours. Now, you might have really good results for those 20 hours once you look at the numbers. You go, wow, for those 20 hours, I was really productive. How do I carve out another 10? How do I get another 10 hours out of that week? Because if I'm getting these results out of those 20 hours, when in fact you may be thinking I'm working 9 or 10 hours when in fact it's only 5. So knowing the starting point, what you're trying to accomplish, and then understanding what your situation is, how you can maximize that RGA is going to give you that revenue generating activity. It's going to give you a clear picture of how to move forward.
I think it's interesting in your personal makeup. Like I'm sitting between 2 guys who eat and breathe efficiently. How many breaths do you take during the day, Austin? You probably know. I won't get into it with you, but and you have high value in that. I'm trying to make this not sound,
breathing.
I'm trying to make this sound like like I'm not overinflating this value that I have is people and relationships. I'm just kidding. I'm joking about that, but
not really.
So, like, I can because of that factor, like my personality and being relational, efficiency isn't always on my radar, and I can find myself in a sit where I'm just hanging out. I'm just hanging out with people, and I'm watching shows and talking about their families and eating dinner and with them that they didn't know I was going to eat, and just hanging out. And I didn't realize that I'm in a home for, like 4 hours.
Well, it sounds like a good exercise on top of tracking just your activities for 1 week. Track your time. Print out a kind of weekly, hourly sheet and track your time.
That's a really good idea.
How am I spending my time? But this is something that you can do as an agent, because the first step of productivity is understanding how you're doing it to then be able to prepare for what's next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to prepare for it.
I don't know if it is preparing, but it's really identifying areas that you can make adjustments.
Yeah.
And that is extremely important, because this is going to be different for absolutely everybody. It may be I need more training outside of work to close more of my sales and be more productive while I'm out there. The other side of it is, well, maybe I need to move a lot of the items I'm doing during the day that are preparing me for the field or prepping me to beginning of the day or the end of the day. Not
toward the end of your week.
Towards the end of the week. Just moving things around that in your schedule, that's going to free up more time to actually sit with families. And I know it's really important to understand that we have a certain amount of time in the day to sit with clients. We're not really going to sit with them at 6, 7 in the morning. We're probably not going to sit with them 10 or 11 at night. Now, every now and then, special occasions, that happens. We have to be flexible if we're good advisors to be able to do that. But for the most part, that's not happening for any of us on this call. It's not. So that's the time that I would love to spend dialing up the carriers and ordering supplies, or dialing up the carriers daily to check on my business to make sure there's not any pending issues or any questions from underwriting that need to be answered, which is ultimately going to speed up money and efficiency and everything. but ordering supplies, so I'm not taking an hour and a half out of the day going to the store or even driving to another county to find a Staples to print a bunch of stuff out. And it just being efficient when it comes to that.
One cool thing as you're thinking about this and talking about this, Zach, I know that. Can you talk about like the power of Monday? I know that is such a big deal for you. I think we've had so many conversations with agents who get a slow start there, and then Tuesday becomes their Monday.
That's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. Monday is the most important day of the week, no matter who you are, where you work. It's the most important day. This is going to turn into a mindset call, Chris. Saying thank you. But it is. Monday, regardless of how many days you work during the week, Monday feels like you have forever to go. When you feel like you have forever to go, there's less pressure on performance, on hitting numbers, on anything you do. So my Monday is the most important day. I have the most amount of unretired leads in my hand. In fact, I've never knocked or called or done anything to any of these at this point. So I am fully optimistic, I have full opportunity, and I'm ready to go. Now, knowing what I'm able to do and putting in the max amount of effort on Monday, I'm rested from the weekend. I shouldn't have any excuses as far as being tired or this or that. So I've just had a couple days off. Some agents have 4-day weekends. So I just had time off. I'm ready to go, and I hit the field hard. I want to be at my market no later than 9:45, 10 o'clock, no matter how far I'm traveling. I don't care if I'm traveling minutes or 5 hours. I'm going to prepare and leave at the appropriate time so that when I'm in the field, I am in the field doing revenue generating activities, which is knocking on doors, getting sits, and helping clients put a plan in place. That entire time. I don't want to do anything else during that window. After that, I finish up my day. I'm going to submit my applications, make sure everything looks good. I take care of some admin work at the end of that day, but I have to maximize that time. Now, the power of Monday, when you can do that and you can maintain focused, generally I write probably 60% of my business on Monday. I just do. I'm focused. I'm dialing in. I have full energy. There's no distractions. I have no pending issues from the previous week. That's already taken care of. I probably write 60% on Monday. And then even if I'm working Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I've already taken care of most of my clients on the number of leads that I've received. Now, understanding if my Monday is going to be that hard, and the reason why some people, Chris, start their Monday on Tuesday is this very reason. My prep is Sunday. I prep Sunday for Monday. You know why? Just like we want to prep in the morning before 10 o'clock, that 10 to 2 is my Monday. So what is that 7 a.m. in the morning to 10 o'clock? Well, that's my Sunday. I got to prep for the week just like I prep for the day. So I make sure I have every carrier application, supplemental form, document that I will possibly need in my trunk, ready to go to grab it anytime. I already have every lead routed, ready to go. I know exactly what order I'm going to hit them in. It's already sitting on my passenger seat. My GPS is all ready to go. I just got to click go. I even pack snacks, lunch. If I'm going out on the road, my bag it's already packed, and I know myself, Chris. This is the thing. I know myself. My bag's already in the trunk on Sunday night. It's in the trunk. Yes, I have extra deodorant, toothbrush, all the toiletries. I have extra, so I keep that inside. So I don't have an excuse of I got to keep my bag in here until the morning, because I don't want to have to do anything. I want no barriers on Monday, because that's the most important day of the week. If you try to do all of that, and especially if you're traveling on the road, that's a lot of stuff you have to do Monday morning before you're out ready to go. Then all of a sudden, you don't get into the field till Monday evening, just go to your Airbnb or hotel, and I'll just get rolling Tuesday. Or you just spend all day prepping, and then Tuesday rolls around and you go out in the field. But what it does mentally for you, if anybody starts their work week on Tuesday, what is in your mindset? Short week, right?
Yeah.
Week's almost over. You're looking forward to it. But when you start on Monday, it's like we got a long week ahead of us. It's just one day, but it's just a mental approach. So everybody has a production number or goal that they want to hit each and every week, or something they're running for. When you start on Tuesday, you feel like you're behind. It gives you a little anxiety, gives you a little bit of pressure, and now you try too hard. Now you feel like you have to sell. You have to sell your first sit. If you don't, and each passing sit or door knock that isn't successful, it builds up. It builds up pressure. It builds up anxiety. People get emotionally worked up. They get frustrated. And typically, they have a mediocre at best week. If you eliminate Mondays, you'll have a mediocre at best week. If you include your Mondays, your production's probably going to jump by about 60% if you prepare for it the right way. But you have to have a full together Monday.
Very good. And I think so much of what you've said is it takes a little bit of teamwork as a family, of understanding, like, if you are not in the field, there are pieces to this that you need partnership on, that when I'm home, there will be times when I'm getting ready for the week, and that there's a dollar that's attached to that. There will be times when I'm learning about some carriers so that I can be prepared in the field. There are times I'm practicing applications. There are times when I'm practicing presentations and scenarios so that I can have better sits when I'm in the field, because that's what this answers. This is a production issue, being productive. And, if I'm going to enter a rap battle with Eminem, you bet your bottom dollar that I'm going to practice before I get on that stage. Right?
I'm not going to enter one with Eminem. I think he's practiced more than me.
Right. But I'm not going to.
I would love to hear what he had to say about you.
Oh, he'd say great things.
He's probably had some of Patty's spaghetti. That's how he preps. And that's how you should prep too. I mean, you
we're marketing it
Michiganders.
now. You know how it is.
But here's the thing. And when we talk about NMM for a second, everybody's seen 8 Mile, right?
Yeah.
His famous rap battle. Do you know how he wins that last rap battle? Because he knows what the other guy is going to say about him the entire time. He went first and he sucked the air out of the room. He joked on himself and said everything his opponent was going to say, and his opponent didn't have anything left. Because he prepared, he thought through it. That is so good, because we do the same thing in the home with clients. If you prepare for your clients and you know the objections, you know the excuses, you know how they were raised, you know the living conditions they live in, you know the way they think, you know the tragedy that's happened in their family, and most importantly, you know what's going to happen if they don't have anything in place. If you know all that ahead of time and you're presenting that and you're following your system that you're involved in or your presentation, how can you ever get an objection or not be able to help a family?
It's like 2 episodes when we talked about the free statements and the smoke screens. Like,
exactly,
if you've
right.
already written those down, you know what they're going to say, and you've already written down what you're
not
going
to lose that rap battle.
And
Get out there.
I'm glad we're mentioning this again, because do the homework. Do the homework, and it makes your work time more productive. I promise you.
Here's the
Try
other
this.
thing.
Test us on this.
Listen to
Test
that
us.
episode.
Test us, son.
Fill out the sheet, right? Take the time to actually download the free statements and smoke screens sheet and actually sit down and think about, work through it. But don't do that at 11:30 on Monday.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We
That you
want-
intended to do at 8:30 on Monday, but now somehow it's 11:30.
We want more agents to eat lunch. We do.
Yes.
We do. I'm kind of joking about it in a way, but like I said before, when I started, I didn't eat lunch because I wanted to feel what my kids would feel if I didn't get to work. That that was what I believed when I
intense.
started. Right.
Dude, that is so important, though. Like, I had a rule. I did not eat lunch until I got my first app at all. And I'm a guy, if you know me, I don't eat breakfast.
So you're hungry.
I'm hungry. I'm hungry, right?
Yeah.
He's hangry.
And
I was like, that's
I need that.
stretching into hangry.
But here's the other thing. Like, that works to some extent. But if you haven't eaten by 4 o'clock,
You need to eat.
you have to go eat. I'm going to punish myself. I don't eat. My kids don't eat. No, because if not, you might as well just go home, because you're not going to have mental energy.
Physical energy.
Physical energy. You're not going to have any of that to prepare you through the prime time of your day. Like, I truly believe that you can get applications at any moment, at any time, for one. For two, most of them, for me personally, come in early morning, that 10 to 12 o'clock window, and really 5:30 to 9:30 window.
But do you know when it will never happen between those two times?
Nope.
When you don't work those times.
But here's the thing.
Very true.
Here's
that
the
was
thing.
That was a
Like,
good setup.
My goals, I know
like a
every
Chris Ball
day, it's
joke
like
setup. I
clockwork.
know.
Every day I'm going to get that first app before lunch. I always did. It's going to happen. And my goal was to sneak somebody in that mid part of the day, or that couple that's on disability, or I just happen to catch them home. And then I know I'm going to get those 1 or 2 apps at night. It's just clockwork. You just know it's going to happen, and you almost speak it into existence. But here's the craziest thing. When you're inefficient in the homes, or you're inefficient in your work efforts through the week, guess when a lot of lazy agents work? Guess. They start working at 12 to 1, first window's over.
Till 5.
And they're done at about 5 or 6 before the second big session starts.
Before the second window opens.
Unbelievable. And they're hoping and praying to snag an app in that little window of time.
The sad,
Snag an
scary
app.
thing to me is you can still work. I mean, you can work 15 to 20 hours and get by. That's the thing that's kind of nauseating a little bit. Like, but here's the worst part about it is you can convince yourself that you put in a lot of time.
Yeah, that you're full time. So I think we've broken this down to we've got to understand it, right? We got to prepare for it, and now we got to execute.
Yeah.
Because now you have to deliver. Now you have to track, and you have to perform, and you have to hold yourself accountable to what you said you were going to do. And if you start doing that, you will really see the true numbers reveal themselves. You'll actually see, okay, I'm improving my efficiencies here. I did get in the field. I did start at this time. I am seeing, getting through SITS opportunity in the morning. I'm being very intentional about trying to find them. And amazingly, I'm finding them. It's amazing what happens when you go out with intention to achieve a goal. And like Zach said, he didn't want to eat until he found his first app, right? So it was very specific for him. I mean, he narrowed it down to that. And so as agents, if we're finding ourselves wondering where the time is going and we're struggling to close or we're having these what is really inefficiencies in our schedule, once you intend to execute, now you're going to follow through and deliver on that. So you're going to not only try to find the leads, but you're going to be looking for every opportunity. I mean, we've had some agents just in the past 2 weeks that says, I'm amazed at how many neighbors of my leads are actually home. So they've gotten a lead. Someone filled out a response online or in the mail. We go to see those people. They're not there. We might have booked an appointment. They no-showed us, or we showed up to knock and there's no one home. And so, we call it cloverleafing, running the T, the house next door, the house on the other side, the one across the street. It's like a 3-leaf clover or a T if you draw that out. And we have agents that are going, I'm amazed at how many neighbors are home. And guess what? They all know, pretty much most of them, they all know the person whose name was on the form that was filled out. And so you can use that person as a reference and go talk to them and say, hey, did you get the information on the mailer on the available information on final expense planning or on mortgage protection plan or whatever your lead is, Medicare, it could be whatever. And great. Well, I'm here. I can get you set up for that. Obviously, if it's Medicare, you're going to set up a scope of appointment. If it's a final expense lead, you can go get some information and come right back. Like, there's amazing opportunities because now you have intention about what you're trying to accomplish. You're just trying to sit with people. So it changes the level of urgency. It changes your focus. Now you're not necessarily just driving another 20 minutes to hopefully find someone else not home. Right? You're saying there's a neighbor right there and they probably know Austin. Even though Austin's not home, I'm going to go talk to Bill over here and see if Bill, and how many applications are we seeing coming through the pipe on people with intention, focusing on their activity, being efficient, and they're actually hitting their goals because they're very specific about the actual implementation and the doing of their goals.
And I think the other part of execution, defining these finding inefficiencies. I think that is a good way of looking at it is, can I find inefficiencies in my process? And the other one is, how do you do a sit? How do you do a sale? And are you following a system? If you're winging it and you're not getting sales results, then you probably have to take a look at how you are doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're winging it, the amount of variables that you're putting into your sales process is almost infinite. Like if you don't have a process you go through every time, same process, well, then you have nothing. Well, this it, I went this route, and that didn't work, and this it, I went that. Well, now you're just ping-ponging everywhere.
Right.
There's no process.
And who has time to eat lunch?
Yeah.
Nobody does. And the great thing is, if you have a proven system that solves for 5 things, the 5 reasons why people buy or don't buy, you can go back to that episode and listen to it. And you can walk out and say it was because of that reason, then you followed the system. You follow the system.
I'll give you a quiz, Chris. What was the professional athlete, maybe I'll give you a sport if you don't know it, that has made millions of dollars and made Hall of Fame on fundamentals?
Well, I mean, probably 90% of them, but I'll go with John Wooden.
NBA basketball, played for the San Antonio Spurs.
Oh, Tim Duncan.
Tim Duncan.
Oh, no question.
What did he do that was so spectacular?
He was a really boring dude.
He was.
They would say that.
You know
no
what
offense to Tim Duncan if he's listening.
One of the greatest of all time. All they did was throw it in the post. He looked at his dude for 2 seconds, and then he did a little spin move, and then he did a bank shot.
Yeah.
Every time for, I don't know.
26
How many years?
He was probably
217
17 or
years.
18 years in the league, NBA Hall of Fame, multiple championships, and made a buku of money.
Buku.
He didn't reinvent the wheel. All he did was the same thing every time.
It was Vince Lombardi that said, excellence is achieved by mastery of the fundamentals.
Yeah. Yeah.
The basics. What are the basic things that are boring? And if you would commit to getting great at the boring, everything changes.
I was thinking about this as we were talking about this. Do you want to measure your inefficiencies? Determine how often you are pulled over. Figure that out. If you are in a home, your car should be stopped. If you're not in a home, your car should be moving. That's pretty much it. Your car should be moving. It should be moving towards the next sit. And if it's not, that's stopping and turning off your car to do whatever, whether it's a conversation, whether it's unless it's to a client, to set up a time to swing by, so that's
stopping my car to flip through social media doesn't count?
No, that's costing you
What?
$750.
Yeah.
That scroll, each thumb flick is costing you or lunch. It's costing you your lunch that you can't eat. $750.
That's an expensive lunch.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's go to Ruth Chris every day.
That conversation of why the kids didn't take the garbage out is costing you. It is costing you. And we don't realize it. We don't feel it. That's the thing. We don't feel it. But man, if you took a month, I love that idea, Austin, of reviewing, your week and those numbers, because I think we'd probably see,
It'll reveal a lot. In the same way the activity sheet reveals a lot. I mean, this is like taking the activity sheet to the next level.
And here's the thing I'll say about that. A lot of people, there's some people out there who's like, well, I'm a big producer. Hey, I've been doing this for years. Hey, I know what I'm doing. I don't need an activity sheet. I don't need to get any better. I don't need, this or that. And a lot of times their ego gets in their way of what they could be or the next level they could reach. And all they have to do, and I challenge everybody, take a good 4 weeks, fill it out. Don't even have to tell anybody you're doing it if you don't want to, right?
Whisper tracking.
Just whisper track, right, Chris?
Yeah.
But don't tell anybody. Just secretly do it and be honest with yourself. Don't inflate it. Well, I think it was about this much. Like really track it. And in 4 weeks, look at what was your start time, what was your finish time of each day, your door knocks, your sits, the clover leaves that you've done. You track all activity, and that will tell the true story. Not what you want people to believe, not what you want yourself to believe about what you're doing. That's not going to lie. It's going to be right there for you. And I promise you, no matter how good you are, how long you've been in the business, you will be able to find a way by doing this in 4 weeks to improve your sales, to make more money, and spend less time doing it. Now, it's up to you to actually implement those things. But I promise you, you will find areas in order to do that.
I think there can be a thrill in the sale a little bit. There's a lack of a better word, there's a sexiness to the sale. You know, you get excited, your adrenaline's pumping, and maybe here's a good one, maybe you got a sale that you didn't expect to get. You got a level up moment where you implemented something new. Those are energizing moments. And then agents sometimes, especially if you're relationship driven like me, you get excited about the sale, you get excited about helping somebody, and you've done that throughout the week, and then you shut off everything, and you don't realize that you're not getting deposits. And the reason you're not getting deposits is because it's not what you sell, it's what you keep on the books, right?
It's what gets placed first.
Yeah.
It's what gets placed. It's what gets paid.
Yeah.
And then what you get paid.
Yeah. Yep. So if you're rushing, if you're not filling out applications in the home, I mean, why wouldn't you do that? If you're not paying attention to crossing your I's and dotting your T's, see, that's why I never got paid, because I was crossing I's, right? So if you're not paying attention, it's not getting placed. That's a problem. So following up is huge. And following up, like Zach said, in the mornings.
And that's important. Like, let's not follow up at 11:30 on Monday
Right.
or 2:30 in the afternoon waiting on hold for 4 hours. You know, let's follow up. And even more important to that, Chris, let's schedule this in your work schedule every single day for, application prep, application submission, application follow-up, check your email, make breakfast for your family, give your spouse a kiss, tell them have a good day.
I mean, that's been part of this whole exercise of us to analyze our numbers and our time. Like, it starts with, as Zach said, the preparation, and preparing is, okay, every day I'm going to block this amount of time from 8 to 8:30 to review all my supplies and get them ordered if I don't have any. And then from 8:30 to 9:30, I'm going to review my applications and get them submitted, or however it breaks down. But put it on your calendar.
Yeah.
In the same way that you book appointments, you need to book yourself.
Yeah, book yourself.
Book yourself. Go book yourself.
Book yourself before you hook yourself. Is that a thing? I don't think so.
You got to follow through and follow up and put it on your schedule. Like you said, the worst thing that happens is that sometimes when we get moving fast, right, we're inefficient. So we're not following up. We're not following through. We're not getting stuff submitted. We're making mistakes and errors. Then we have to go back and redo the things that we already did and take more time to do that. And we feel like, man, I'm so busy every day. But some of it is just because you were moving too quickly. You didn't take the time to do it properly. You didn't have it scheduled in your day, so you pushed it another day, and stuff keeps getting pushed off. You find I'm not getting paid. Now you got to go back and redo. I mean, it's a cycle. It's a vortex that will suck you in. It's a black hole of inefficiency and unproductivity and unprofitability.
And you're working harder.
And you feel like you're working harder.
You feel like you're working harder.
Well, in some cases you are. Mm-hmm. It's just because you're not being efficient.
And here's a great way, guys. The beauty of all this is the numbers will tell the story of your life. They will tell you your story.
Sounds like a song.
The numbers.
Is that just because you're a numbers guy?
Yes, you know me. But learning and reviewing your numbers and learning and adapting. Here, I'm telling you, if your persistency and placement is under 80%, there are some inefficiencies in your sales process. That's a fact. There are inefficiencies. And you can go through all the podcasts and find out what those are. We're glad to help you with that. But those are
episode 21,
adjustments.
that's where we talk about tracking our numbers.
Yeah.
Great place to start.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I really like this question, and I appreciate it because the fact that Mckinley asked this question lets me know that she wants to improve and wants to get better.
Yeah.
And there's, that's awesome to me because that's what it's all about. That's why we do this podcast for everybody everywhere, people we don't know, and states everywhere, right? I think some other countries as well.
Yes.
Shout out to Canada, Roger. But I love the fact that she's asking this question because I know so many people are wondering the same thing and just not asking the question. or have been thinking about it, or maybe they're just now thinking, well, actually I am a pretty good producer, or I'm the best producer in my organization. I've never had to do this, or I don't really see the point, but maybe I will try this for 4 weeks and see what happens and what comes from it. You won't be disappointed.
It's really about having an uncomfortable conversation with yourself. We talk about in a previous episode these uncomfortable conversations that will change your career, about how to have one of those very challenging and real conversations with another person. If you look inward and have a real and challenging conversation with yourself, I think it'll begin to reveal very quickly what is happening. So you can get this is what's happening on the ground view. And then you can step back and assess, okay, what am I doing? And is that actually leaning towards what I think my goals are? Mm-hmm. Okay, and then how can I adjust to do that? Because clearly there's a disconnect. And I appreciate Mckinley's question because she's having the guts to have that uncomfortable conversation with herself. Like, I'm working very hard. How can I become more efficient, or how can I become more productive in these hours in the day that I dedicate? And so you're listening today and you're asking yourself the same question. It just comes down to being honest with yourself, having a real conversation, and then finding someone that'll support you in that. And thus, we're big fans of being connected with an organization, having the people at home on board, having some running buddies, having some accountability partners. These are all big values for us. So if you need any help with any of that stuff, man, we would love to help you. We can certainly get you connected to some great people. Feel free to reach out.
Well, that's a wrap for today's episode. Mckinley, we hope you and the rest of our listeners heard some great takeaways from this show. Let us know in the comments how you're able to apply some of the things we discussed. And also, we did reference a lot of other episodes and tools that you can download to help you be more productive and efficient. Just visit our show notes page for links to each of those resources. You can do that by going to liapodcast.org/EP30. That's liapodcast.org/EP30. As always, thanks so much for listening to the Life Insurance Academy podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to subscribe wherever you're listening, rate us 5 stars, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Life Insure Acad. The Life Insurance Academy podcast is hosted, edited, and mixed by me, Austin Lopes-Silvero. This episode was produced by Chris Ball and myself. Our theme song is by Flashing Lights. We'll catch you on another episode. Until then, stay safe and go be a difference maker.